Hey there, Dr. Hoover again. This week we're going to be looking at barriers to curriculum in general and integrated curriculum in particular. We're going to be preparing a discourse on several barriers and how they might affect curriculum, as well as possible solutions to reduce or limit the influence of the barrier. And instead of writing a paper this week, we're going to be using piktochart, which is a free online tool, to create an infographic in order to share your findings with the rest of the group via the discussion board. So let's get just a kind of an overview of the project and the module and the way it's set up, as well as some things about infographics. So you're going to select 1 to 3 barriers for your research. The reason I say that is oftentimes when you're looking at a barrier, they're not mutually exclusive, so there's overlap, and sometimes it's easier to include another barrier. Or if you wanted to include 3 barriers and group them somehow, that's fine also. You have a lot of flexibility in this. Then you're going to create an infographic to share what you've learned. And your infographic must do the following. It must define the barrier. It must describe how it may limit integrated curriculum. And it must suggest ways to overcome the barrier, as well as being sure to include all sources used in your research. And this will include any images that you specifically pull into the infographic. You must also cite those, and all of that can be done at the very bottom of the infographic in small text. So some barriers you may want to consider looking at are teacher preparation, aligning curriculum, how's the correlation between subject areas, need to re-educate students because they don't necessarily have skills for working with integrated curriculum. Time for common planning. How do we get together as teachers in different content areas and work together? How much does our administration support us? Do they really understand what we're trying to do? And then, of course, things such as theories of teaching, didactic or more traditional lecture and test versus constructivist teaching methods. And then it's a little bit cut off here, but standardized tests. So since I'm asking you to do an infographic, I thought I really should provide you with some overview about what an infographic is. And it's a visual representation of information, and it includes statistics, facts, and images. This is one of my favorite infographics done with Legos. It says it's data sorted, arranged, and presented visually. What's interesting about infographics is they incorporate multiple literacies. Information literacy, visual literacy, media, digital, all of those literacies which are found in the Common Core state standards are also included in infographics. And these literacies help students develop research skills, reading comprehension skills, and critical thinking skills. This infographic is about why use infographics. So it compares a traditional document to an alternative, which is a document plus an infographic. Another infographic shown here is from the ISTE conference, and you can see it has a lot of text, but it is organized and grouped, and it's showing statistics on different items related to educational technology. What's really interesting about infographics is they're good for general students as well as special education students, and students at all levels can benefit from visual representation of information. You can have students compare and contrast information. You can have students critically analyze and summarize information. But what's really nice is an infographic is it's a graphic organizer, it's a chart, it's comparing and contrasting. It's doing all of those things that activate both the visual side of your brain as well as the text side. So dual encoding is being used, and it's a powerful tool. It also fits within Marzano's 9 Essentials for Instruction, if you're familiar with that. So it's a pretty powerful tool. So some cool stuff about piktochart and a sample is what I'm going to show you next. So I'm going to go over a sample from another class and just a few things she did and a few really interesting things piktochart does very quickly. So when we go into piktochart, it has some interesting features. Once the piktochart is done, created, saved, this is where we're at now, but I kind of wanted to show you an end product. And this was created by a student for another class, and it was looking at trends in education. So this one's on virtual reality. And they explained what it was. And then as you come down, rather than just having text and images, they used the insert feature and inserted videos. So you can go out and find video examples of what you're trying to show and include those. And now that's very effective if you're using your piktochart infographic in digital form. If you're using it as a printed document or a poster for on your wall, it may not come out quite as well because you can't activate the video. Also, each section of piktochart, as you're creating it, it's divided into sections. And as you look at those sections, one way to think about it is that each section is kind of similar to a PowerPoint slide. Because if we launch our infographic in presentation mode, it will take and show us each section of that infographic. So now we could have a hard copy. Say we make an infographic of our classroom roles. We could have the hard copy on the wall of the classroom, and we could present and go over it with the students by projecting it digitally. Also, if you did research and wrote a paper, or had your students write a paper and then turn it into an infographic, you could still grade the paper. This could be their visual tool. You could also print these and have them in the hallway. So there's a lot of versatility with this tool called piktochart and what all it can do. The last thing I want to do is take one moment and just show you a little bit in the module. I try to keep everything in hard copy in the module and it's chunked. This is where I was going to go over integrative STEM, but I'm moving that to the next unit. So barriers project just goes over what was already in this presentation, as does the next document, which is what is an infographic, and a little bit of information here on creating an infographic, kind of the process, not the technology, but how do you create an infographic? For example, you should come up with a focus question. You have a topic, you figure out who your audience is, and you come up with what is the question that your infographic is addressing. That helps you keep focused and not just ramble as you're creating it. After creating an infographic, there is the assessment rubric, followed by a link to piktochart so you can set up your free account. Then I've also included some external links to YouTube. These are videos done by piktochart. It is a simple guide to get you started. And then I also linked to their full YouTube channel if you want to look up any topics.
Which grabs your attention more? A giant block?
Find videos there, playlist channels, here's their videos, and discussion area. Lastly, I have a very short tutorial I put up just how to get the link. Hi everyone, today we're going to look very quickly at in piktochart so that you can add your link to your piktochart within the discussion board. So that's what we'll be doing this week, looking at barriers. Once again, it's a graduate class, that's why we do a lot of research. I will attempt to come back later and summarize the things you looked at and answer any questions you might have and kind of pull it all together week by week. If you have questions or problems, please do not hesitate to contact me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Take care.